What's up, everybody? East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. It's two of us today. Philly sports guy, Dustin, over there on the other side of me, this side. I got to make sure I get my thumbs right. What's up, Dustin? How are you?
Oh, another day, another day. Another nice winter day in the 40s, almost 50 today, so that's good.
Yeah, it's actually pretty warm outside here, too. So I'm glad that everything seems to be warming up. Uh, everything looking very beautiful. You know, I'm all excited here, getting everything ready to go to New Orleans. And I will tell you that I've been getting a lot of messages and a lot of requests. I don't know if anybody's watching that that has messaged me or anything, but rooms down in New Orleans are absolutely ungodly. They are very, very, very expensive.
hmm
So I will tell you that your best bet is to likely go with a package. I know that I have done work with Philly Sports Trips, so I am going to tout them. But there are a number of different companies to go with. Philly Sports Trips, I tell you, they put on a great uh, they put a great package together with the flight, rooms, everything. It's going to be a very fun trip. And hey, listen, expect to spend some money because you're going to spend the money anyways. I mean,
I mean, it's a
it's
Super Bowl. You're going to
ridiculous.
spend money.
I mean, first off, tickets to get into the game are ungodly. It's like uh, right now, I think that the average price is about $7,500. Now that'll
Nice.
fluctuate. That goes up and down,
Yeah.
obviously, because Super Bowl tickets are really worth their weight in gold. It
Yep.
really is. Anytime that you get a ticket to a Super Bowl game, it's going to be, um, like you're buying a bar of gold because ultimately you could sell it too. Uh, we were down in New Orleans earlier this year, and it was a great time. I It was just difficult for me to get everywhere or anywhere because when you're dressed up as the Philly sports guy does not move very quickly because everybody wants pictures and such like that. I kind of expect the same thing. Um, ah, just got the message from Bo. He is at practice and is unable to broadcast. So we are going to maybe catch up with him a little bit later after practice, but he's doing his stuff. We'll get maybe a report from him later on today or probably tomorrow. But anyways, I've been thinking about like how many different things
Oh,
are.
Bo is just on TV
There you go.
on NFL
See,
Network. On NFL Network, they have the Senior Bowl practice on. I just saw Bo walking.
there you go. How about that? He's just saying, just showed you on TV. I'm going to write it to him. Showed you on TV.
That's nice.
So there you go. Perfect. Yeah. So the practice is secret, but that's you turn on NFL Network and you might get a glimpse of, his shiny head. Busted his balls some. Anyways, I so I was talking yesterday, and obviously, uh, the Eagles lost their first Super Bowl in New Orleans, and then they lost their second Super Bowl that they made it to against the Patriots. 13 years later, we get a rematch with the Patriots, and we won. Then we lose to the Chiefs
hmm
2 years ago, and in 2 years we get our rematch. So literally, it, we're 1-0 in revenge games, and this could be considered like a double revenge because we lost our first Super Bowl in New Orleans. We lost against the Chiefs 2 years ago, so this could be like a double revenge game.
It could be, yeah.
It can be looked at that way. I kind of feel, and I kind of want to get your idea about this. I think that this game is. I know that this is the Chiefs, and I'm not overlooking anything. They're a really tough team. I think that this game is going to be one going away. I think that this is going to be. I think that the Eagles, not that they're so much better, but I think that they are so much more hungry, and that even though that the Chiefs have been here before, they have done it. I suspect, like Jalen Hurts played his best game since that Super Bowl
Yeah,
Sunday.
he did.
I think that that's just the start of this trajectory going upward. I think he's going to continue to be like amazing. And if you look at Patrick Mahomes this year, Patrick Mahomes has not had his best year. I
No.
mean, everything that's going on. Let's face it. He was 15-1 in starts. You count the playoffs, he's been 17-1. He has only lost one game to the Bills, and that was in Buffalo, right? That
Yeah, and it was a 2-point game until like 4 minutes left, and then Buffalo got a touchdown and ended up winning by like 9.
I think that it's you know he is arguably the best quarterback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And you can say whatever you want to say about, well, he gets the calls, he does this, he does that. It doesn't matter. He's a winner. He's proven it, and ultimately, he's going to do everything he can to try to win this game. I don't think it's going to matter. I think he's going to have to start to really push things, and
Mm-hmm.
as he pushes things, we're going to wind up getting interceptions or having him make some mistakes. And I don't know that it's the worst thing in the world. Like I mean, if he loses this Super Bowl, is it going to be the worst thing in the world for him? No, he's lost Super Bowl before. So he's done that. They didn't win the three-peat, but is
Yeah.
that going to tarnish his legacy? I doubt it.
No, because he's already got the second most playoff wins all time as a quarterback, only behind Tom Brady. He passed Joe Montana on Sunday. So even if he doesn't get back to another Super Bowl, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer because of what he's already accomplished. So his legacy is already set.
And he's won how many playoff games in a row now?
Oh, what is that?
I mean, the last Super Bowl he lost was against Tom Brady,
Yeah,
right?
so they went 2-0 or 3-0, 4-0, 2-0, 9 straight.
So this would be his 10th.
Because last year they had to go on the road because they were the 2 seed last year, so they had the 4 games last year. Year before that they were the 1 seed, so they had 2 games or 3 games counting the Super Bowl. And then this year 2 games, 3 games.
And actually, his last game, the last game he lost was to Cincinnati.
Last playoff game he lost was to Cincinnati, yeah. But then because then the next year they went to the Super Bowl, so they won 3-0 that year, and then the next year 4-0 because they were the 2 seed. So they had the extra game because they didn't have that first round bye. So that's 7-0, and then 2-0 so far this year. So they had 9 straight playoff
9
wins.
straight. And that's obviously like that's amazing. Like you
And how many of them are one
argue
score
that.
games? And how many of them are one score games? 6 or 7? Have to be at least one score games, which is another thing that people don't realize. Like in one score games, they just find ways to win. I mean, what I think they said it on Sunday. Even they're like 18-0 in their last 18 one-score games.
Yeah. So it's I I I think that the Eagles are going to need to make this a two-score game, or maybe going away. Like I feel like that's what's got to happen here a little bit. Uh, I can't say for certain that it's going to happen that way, but I mean, I feel that I think that the Eagles win this game handily. Like I got it. I have it as like an 11-point game.
I mean, yeah, this is the second time in NFL history that 2 teams are meeting in the Super Bowl for the second time in a 3-year stretch, and the only other time that happened was when Dallas and Buffalo played in back-to-back years in '93 and '94. And obviously, we know that Dallas blew them out of the water both times. But
Both times.
I think Philadelphia, top to bottom, is the better team. They have the better running back, obviously, in Saquon Barkley. If Rashee Rice was healthy, I would kind of say Rashee Rice is better than Devontae Smith. But without Rashee Rice, they have the better wide receiver core. Kansas City has the better tight end. They have the better quarterback, but Philadelphia's got the better offensive line. They got the better defensive line. They have the better linebacking core, and they have. Well, no, I think Kansas City's got the better linebacking core. Philadelphia's got the better secondary. So I think top to bottom, Philadelphia has the better roster. But these are one of those games where everything's going to come down to coaching. And when you have the coaching aspect in it, Nick Sirianni did take a lot of heat early in the season. And to his credit, he took that heat head on and he's bounced back in a big way. And he's really proven everyone that was giving him crap at the beginning of the year that he really is a good coach. And that's exactly why Philly's in the position they're in. But Andy Reid is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. And I don't think anyone's going to sit there and argue that just because of what Andy Reid's already accomplished. Even though Philly's the better team, I refuse to bet against Kansas City until somebody beats them. And that's, I mean, I'm not like, if Philly wins by 2 scores, I'm not going to be surprised, obviously, because like I said, Philly's the better team. But until somebody can actually knock off Patrick Mahomes and knock off the Chiefs, I'm going to keep picking Kansas City just because they've done this now for so long. Until somebody beats them, it's kind of hard to pick against them. And that was kind of the position I was in last week with Buffalo, too, where I thought Buffalo was the better team than Kansas City. But because the game was at Arrowhead and because they just haven't beaten Kansas City in the playoffs, I was not going to pick against Kansas City until I saw it happen.
Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. So let's actually kind of do that since Bo's not here. Let's go right down the whole, like down the roster. We'll say.
Okay.
Let's start. So the coach Andy Reid.
Andy Reid's better coach.
Yeah, over Nick Sirianni. So the offensive coordinator. I mean, you could argue.
Offensive coordinator, I go Kellen Moore over Matt Nagy just because Kellen Moore actually calls the plays. Matt Nagy is just kind of there on the sidelines talking to Mahomes, talking to whoever between plays. He really doesn't do much.
Okay. So then we got the Eagles on that. The defensive coordinator. This one I would just say is a push. Just because I think both of them are so good at what they do. This one I would say is probably even. I would just say this is a push. So I have it slight Eagles.
Yeah.
And again, that has to do more with the fact that
ranking.
Yeah, it's just longevity and ability. I mean, right now, so the defense is 8th, in the league. Their defense, the Chiefs.
Chiefs defense or Chiefs defense is 8th?
8th. The Eagles are 1st.
Yep.
But they're 4th in points, Kansas City.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're 4th in points is because I feel like teams have had to overexert at the end because they get nervous and they try to beat them. And I think they get away from their game plan. And that's what you play into Kansas City when you start doing that.
And I think Spagnuolo is one of those coaches, too, that doesn't really care how many yards he gives up between the 30s and the 30s. Once you get into that Kansas City like red zone areas, when he starts to come up with all these exotic blitzes and kind of all these exotic coverages where they're more willing to give up field goals as opposed to touchdowns. So they might give up yards, which is fine, but they're very good at preventing teams from actually getting touchdowns.
The bend don't break defense.
Yeah.
And that has been always an Eagles thing, and Andy Reid brought that over with him.
Yeah.
And Spags is an amazing defensive coordinator as well. So I would go, like I said, it's very close. I give it slight Eagles there, just slight. All right. So then let's go with
special teams coach. I will give Kansas City just because Dave Tibbs is probably one of the best, if not the best special teams coach in the NFL, just because he's been there for 23 years. He was with Andy Reid since Andy Reid got there.
Yeah, I could see that. So and our special teams hasn't been anything spectacular. You know what I mean? Our kickoffs, our field goals. I mean, if you're going, well, we'll get to the kicker later, but let's start on the offensive side. The quarterback,
Mahomes.
I guess you have to go Mahomes, and you have to go Mahomes by a lot there. I think it's.
I mean, this season I wouldn't go as much as in the past, but in terms of everything he's accomplished, yeah, Mahomes without question.
Yeah, so I mean, I think KC has got the thing there, and then running back.
Same thing with Barkley.
Yeah, that's got to go Eagles all the way there.
I mean,
and not that they don't have.
Pacheco and Hunt together don't even equal one Barkley. Like both of them together didn't even equal what he did in rushing yards and what he's done in production on his own.
So, and I agree. I think that Gainwell actually is, um, like I said, a good number 2 to Barkley as well.
Yeah,
And also,
I think Hunt's a better number 2 than what Gainwell is, just because Hunt's been a starter in the NFL before. But in terms of just Hunt and Pacheco together, don't even equal Barkley. Like both of them could start on any other team for the most part, and yet neither one of them would be as good as Barkley.
correct. I agree. So, go with the wide receiver core. We'll not do 1, 2, and 3. We're not going to go wide receiver to wide receiver. Just the whole core.
Wide receiver core, I give Philly, just
I have
because
to
the
give
Chiefs
the
are down
Eagles.
Rashee Rice, and because Hollywood Brown basically missed the whole season, and still don't think he's 100% healthy yet.
And well, I don't think he's up to speed yet. He's
Yeah,
probably 100% healthy.
Yeah.
He's just not at playoff speed.
Yeah.
And I also look at is, they got the DH, the DeAndre Hopkins, don't they? Over there, isn't Hopkins playing for them?
Yeah,
And then
he's
they also got
technically
Juju Schuster-Smith,
and
who
Worthy
stopped all the TikToks.
and Worthy's over there. I mean, they have like a good. I think you could make the case that Kansas City might have more depth at wide receiver, but that depth doesn't necessarily translate to success because Hopkins isn't the Hopkins of old. Juju had a good game this past Sunday, but he's still not like the Juju of old. Worthy is still trying to figure things out as a rookie. Like they have a lot more depth, I think, at wide receiver, but outside of really Rashee Rice, none of those receivers have really broken out to the point where you're like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna just take the game over if you need him to.
Right. No, I can
Versus
see that.
Brown and Devontae Smith can both do that on their own, where either one of them can go off for 150 and a couple touchdowns.
I agree. Tight end.
Kelce. Not as much of a gap as people think, but it's still.
I agree. I'm going to give it to Kansas City because he is a Hall of Famer. But Dallas Goedert's pretty good.
Yeah.
And also when they bring in Calcaterra, he's also really good.
Right.
Calcaterra is like secret good. So
same thing with Noah Gray too. Like a lot of people don't realize that Noah Gray actually was leading the Chiefs in touchdown receptions for a big portion of the year because he was their main red zone target.
Right, because they doubled Kelce.
Yeah. And they didn't have like Rashee Rice or any of those other guys, so it was like you double team Kelce, we'll just stick Noah Gray in the back of the end zone and find him.
So, but I'm going to give the slight nod to Kansas City there. I don't think it's as big of a gap as everybody thinks it is. Offensive line.
Philadelphia.
I agree. I think.
I mean, Kansas City's offensive line has improved a lot since the start of the season, but they're still very vulnerable on the tackles. The interior of Kansas City's offensive line is fine. The tackles are what ends up hurting them the most. Versus there's really not a weak link on Philly's offensive line, I don't think. Maybe the center, but even the center is a good offensive lineman.
Well, and so he was hurt a little bit for this, but he was able to get in and play. Like I said, when they announced the Eagles' offense, they went and announced 12 guys. They announced Jergy as a starter, but he was not a starter. They actually went with Dickerson. Dickerson got hurt. He hurt his knee, but he's going to be able to play. He's going to be just fine. It's going to be I think that offensive line is going to be perfect. Perfect and ready to go against a really strong defensive line. And like I said, I feel that that's where this game is going to get won. Ultimately, the offense and defensive line play is going. The trenches is where this game is going to get won, 100%. And I think that when we go to the other side of the ball and switch it over to the defensive line, I have the Eagles winning that as well.
Mm-hmm. I would say for the defensive line, I think Chris Jones is the best defensive lineman between the two. But outside of him, the Chiefs don't have any other options versus you have Jalen Carter. You have so many other options on Philadelphia. Where if you can
I think Chris Jones, I agree with you on Chris Jones. He is a great player, but I don't think he's so far ahead of Jalen Carter.
He's not. And the thing is, like, if you double team Jalen Carter, you still have other options to get after Mahomes versus if you double team Chris Jones, you got to hope that George Karlaftis can get pressure. You got to hope some of those linebackers can get pressure. Otherwise, you're not going to have a pass rush.
Right. They're going to have to get creative on the blitzes. That's where they're going to really need to shine. So, linebackers.
This is a very close unit. I give Kansas City the slight edge, but I mean Zach Bonds played great. And then who's the one that has got hurt in the first game? The linebacker was that
Oh, so that was oh my God. Um, yeah,
you know
from
you know
Georgia.
yeah
From
you
Georgia.
know yeah. But like both of
Um,
them are great, but like you look at Kansas.
Yeah, well,
City,
he's out. I mean,
yeah,
he's done for seeing the ACL. The
yeah,
ACL tear was ended it, and it's a shame because he was having such a great season, and then not to be able to be out there. But his replacement came up pretty big.
yeah, yeah.
So that's it's awesome when you have somebody who's able, like Zach Bond's really an all pro. Like
Mm-hmm.
he is an all pro, and he has been able to help anybody else jumping into that spot uh, to get better. I mean, you have Jeremiah Trotta as well. That's like I said, that's our third. That's our depth there. I don't know much about the linebacker core of Kansas City.
I mean, Nick Bolton is their main linebacker. He is the fastest linebacker in the NFL when it comes to like 40-yard time. I think he runs like a 4.46, so like he can move. And he's like one of those sideline to sideline linebackers. Like he's their middle linebacker, but he will go sideline to sideline. Basically, he's always around the ball. And then George Karlaftis is listed as technically a defensive lineman, but they moved him to the edge rush this year to get more pressure. And then they have Leo Chanel as their other outside linebacker who's very good on special teams. So Kansas City just has a lot of very athletic linebackers, but they have one like superstar stud in Nick Bolton.
Slip, BG's not going to play. They thought maybe he'd try to get back in there. There's no chance he's going to be able to play. Yeah, so it's as much as I would love. Yeah, Brad, I get it. Do you think that they're going to win 2,000 to 10? We get it. I'd love that to be true. I don't think that that's going to happen. I don't think we put 56 points on the Chiefs. However, it could get crazy. We could put 40 on them. But I don't think 50.
If you did that means Mahomes is out, Kelsey's out, and pretty much everybody else is out on that offense where it's Carson Wentz and a bunch of backups.
No, I don't think of it like that. I think of it as they get down and then they start to press. And when they start to press, then mistakes get made.
Yeah.
Now, BG is not going to play in the Super Bowl.
That was the other one I was thinking about Philly that was hurt was Brandon Graham.
Brandon Graham's out. He's not going to be playing.
Yeah. If he was playing, I would probably give Philly the edge at linebacker, but because he's out and then the other guy.
Well, he's a defensive end anyways. He's off.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Line.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's not going to play. So that's the end of that. Cornerbacks.
Need I say more? Guantanamo Bay and Cooper DeJean.
That's what I think too. I think
even though Cooper DeJean's technically a safety, but he's been playing more nickel, I think, this year than safety.
And big play Slay.
Yeah, I mean the Chiefs have Trent McDuffie, who's a great cornerback, but they lost L'Jarius Sneed last year, who was their number one last year, with McDuffie being their number two.
Right, and I think it's like I said. I think that you can pass on the Chiefs. Let me see what they're passing.
I think their passing defense is like 15 because they're very good at stopping. Yeah, they're very good at stopping 18th. The run.
They're 8th against the run.
Yep.
18th against the pass. But like I said, and their third down conversions, you can keep them on the field. They give it up 43.3% of the time, which is 26th in the league.
Yeah.
So, obviously, we give up our passing yards is number one, and against our rush, we actually are 10th. We give up a little over 100 yards a game, but our passing is number one. You can't pass against us, and that's when I look at all these things, The Chiefs are really good at staying on the field on third down.
Mm-hmm.
They're number 2 in the league at 48.5%. They are 15th with points. Rushing yards is they're 22nd in rushing yards, 14th in passing yards, and 17th in total offense.
Yeah.
So where the Eagles are 5th in total offense, our passing is towards the bottom. We're 29th at only 188 yards a game. But we're number 2 in rushing with 180 yards a game. And 7th in points.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough. But so the cornerback are Eagles. Safety. I got the Eagles kind of there too.
I got the Eagles there mainly because that's technically Cooper DeJean's natural position, even though, like I said, he does play more nickel than safety. But when he was drafted, he was drafted as a safety.
We got CJ.
Yep, CJ Gardner-Johnson. Yep.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And I don't
Reed
even know.
Reed Blankenship's also amazing.
And
I don't even know
who the
who
Chief
plays
safeties are.
I don't even know. So I got
They
to give it to
they make all I can say is the Chief safeties that make plays, but I don't know who any of them are by name, so I couldn't tell you if they're good or not.
I'm going to give the punter. Their punter is, as long as he stays away from the women.
Ariza?
Yeah. I mean, he used to be able to punt 80 yards. I don't know that he can do that anymore. I don't think that actually happened. I don't remember him punting an 80-yard punt. And the kicker.
Gotta go Harrison. You gotta go Butker. And I did not realize this until they mentioned this on Sunday. Butker's had his struggles at kicking during the regular season at times. But in the playoffs, Harrison Butker is 28 of 29 in field goals. He's 34 for 34 in extra points. But in the fourth quarter, Harrison Butker is 17 for 17 in field goals in the fourth quarter or overtime. That is the definition of a clutch, big game kicker.
Yes. And I think he was the one that won the game 2 years ago.
He won it against San Francisco. He won it against Philly. Like, he's been his regular season numbers are good, but they're kind of like not necessarily middle of the pack, but he's kind of in that 10 to 12 range in terms of accuracy during the regular season. But he is, I believe, as of right now, he is the most accurate kicker in postseason history, and then he's perfect in the fourth quarter or overtime.
Well, I gotta hope that we don't ever have the issue of worrying about Jake whether he's going to make it or not. I want to. I would rather him not have to worry about that. Like, hey, he's just going to hit it. He's going to make his extra points, and we're going to be ahead by enough that it's not going to come down to a field goal. However, he hasn't been bad with field goals. He did miss a 50-some yarder, going to, in this last game. But it was a 54-yarder, kind of a little bit against the wind.
I mean, anything over 50 yards, like, yes, kickers are making 50-yard field goals a lot more frequently now than they once did. But anything over 50 yards, I never really blame the kicker for it unless it's like a complete like shank job where it's like completely no good by the time it leaves his foot. But as long even with Jake Elliott's miss on Sunday, he missed it pretty good by the end of the kick, but up for the first probably 30 yards of that kick, it was online until it got up in the wind, and then the wind just kind of pushed it to the right. Like, it wasn't as bad of a miss as what people are making it out to be just because he got it up in the wind and the wind caught it.
Right.
So
it looked like it was a little short. It did look like it was a little.
No, they said he would have made it. It would have been good. They said from 56, so it would have barely made it. It probably would have hit like that, the bar that attaches to the crossbar, whatever that one part of the goalpost is. He probably would have hit that, but he had the distance to make it. It just wasn't as clean of a kick as he typically does.
So, and it makes me wonder, like, again, we talk about what did they change the ball? Is it maybe the holder? I mean, it could be a number of different things that's causing this issue. Yeah, some of the best kickers of all time had problems kicking the ball this year.
Justin Tucker's prime example. Like, Justin Tucker had the worst year of his 11-year career this year. He went from being the most accurate and most reliable kicker in NFL history to falling to number 4 all time on the NFL accuracy list just because of how bad of a season he had. Now, Eddie Pinheiro is now the number one kicker all time in terms of accuracy, but he has like a fraction of the attempts. But still, he's still the most accurate kicker if you go based off of the percentage. But yeah, Justin Tucker this year, that's kind of that. As much as Baltimore had a really good shot to win the Super Bowl this year, or at least get to the Super Bowl, I said going into the playoffs that as funny as it sounds, that Justin Tucker would be the reason why the Ravens would either miss the Super Bowl or why they would lose the Super Bowl because of the year that he had. I just didn't think John Harbaugh was going to trust him as much as he's trusted him in the past.
Well, and like I said, this is 1 year. Everybody can have out of 11-year career, he could have a down year. He might be fine next year. Who knows?
Yeah, and I think a lot of that. I think a lot of kickers this year, for whatever reason, this was one of those years where so many kickers had a very rough year kicking the ball, and that's why you saw so many teams go for it on fourth down, like Dan Campbell, Dan Quinn, Kevin O'Connell late in the season, because Minnesota's kicker was a rookie this year, Will Reichert. Started his NFL career 39 for 39 in kicks, and that's counting extra points and field goals. Ends up getting hurt, comes back from his injury, and he goes like 8 of 14 the rest of the year. Kevin O'Connell went from basically trusting him on every single kick to, well, it's a 51-yard field goal. We're going for it now because you haven't proven that you can handle like pressure situations lately. And I think a lot of coaches got into that mindset where you have an accurate kicker who goes through 2 or 3 bad games. It's like, right now I can't trust you. We're going for it on fourth down. If we get it, we get it. If we don't, it is what it is.
Well, plus I think that the area that the analytics have changed the way
I hate
people
I hate analytics.
Down. But they've changed the way people look at the fourth down anymore.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I told my assistant for high school baseball this year, because we have, I forgot what program we're using now, but we do have like a video program that we use now that's kind of analytically driven, that shows like a pitcher's tendencies when they like throw breaking balls, when they throw fastballs, and then when we're pitching, same thing with like a hitter's tendencies, like are they patient in certain counts or whatever. And our first practice was yesterday, and I even told my assistant, I'm like, I don't care what the analytical numbers say, like on this program that we have. If I have a pitcher that's throwing 6 no-hit innings, I'm not taking him out just because it says, oh, they're going to start hitting him in the 7th inning. I'm going by what I'm seeing on the field. Like if my pitcher's dominating through 6 innings, he's staying out there. If my offense is dominating because they're being aggressive in the count, I'm not going to tell them to be patient to work up the pitcher's pitch count. Stay aggressive. If you see a pitch you like in the first or second pitch, just swing at it. Like I don't need a program that's all about analytics to tell me how my team is performing. I can look at the field and be like, this is what we're doing well. This is what we're going to stick with.
Well, baseball is baseball. Baseball is a lot different.
Yeah.
I think that there is a place for analytics in baseball. I agree with you that it doesn't take over everything. You got to be able to. It's got to be able to pass the eye test. And when you have coaches that run completely off of the analytics, you have situations like happened with Gabe Kapler. Gabe Kapler was kind of very good in the beginning. Like he was able to win some games and get stuff going for San Francisco. Hell, they won 104 games and lost in the first round of the playoffs because you live and die by that sword with analytics. In football, I don't see that as much. The analytics make sense, but that's why fourth downs changed. Like, hey, if you are within on the other side of the 50, it's better for you to just go for it. If you're within 5 yards, it's easier to go 4th and 4 at the 48-yard line of the other team, because if you were to give it up there, like an incomplete pass, they have only a 37% chance of scoring.
Or in a situation with a missed field goal, if you miss the field goal, you're actually giving them that extra 7 yards of field position as opposed to like if you don't get it, whatever. And then same situations too, where if it's like 4th and 6 and you have the ball in the 46-yard line where it's in that range where it's too close to punt, but it's too far to kick a field goal, you can just throw the ball up for grabs and just do kind of what they call like those, not forced interceptions, but just a pass where you don't care if it gets picked off, because then essentially you just pin them inside the 20 like it's punt anyways at that point.
Right. And you got to hope that the defense is smart enough to just
Yeah,
knock it down rather than catch the ball. Because I mean,
yeah.
how many
With
times have we seen them catch the ball and it just be out of, you know, it
yeah.
just it's whatever it is.
I
That
saw
being
I saw
said,
that
though,
more. I saw that more this year than I think I've seen in the past, where quarterbacks are sitting on like 4th and 7, right around midfield. Instead of punting it, they just throw it up for grabs, and if it gets picked off, they're like, "Oh, okay, well, you're down at the 19 now," as opposed to getting the ball at midfield. It works as a punt.
right? I don't. Yeah, I get that, but I don't think that that's really the big deal. I am because of offenses being the way they are. You can get down. You can have a 90-yard drive much easier than you
Oh,
could before.
definitely.
You know,
Yeah.
because passing offenses now it makes things so much different. Uh, I'm still a fan though of putting them deep in their zone. Like you get them, you almost want to have them. If you could get them within the 10, like as somewhere around 7, 8 yard line, they have less options because you don't want to take a sack. You know what I mean? So you got to get out the ball faster. You could play as long as you're playing against the slants and things like that. You should be able to get certain things that um like that happen. Like it's
Yeah.
just like I feel like that there are certain ways that you could take away certain plays. Nobody's going to if you want to go for the bomb there, yes, that's like a punt then. Because if you get the interception, you're getting it at the 50-yard line and starting to come back down. It's almost like you get the ball back right where you started at the first time.
Hmm.
But I feel like that it's important. Field position is going to be very important in this game.
Yeah.
And I suspect that you're going to see more punts in this Super Bowl
I
than
think
we're
it,
used
I
to
think
seeing.
I think the first. I would be very surprised if, let's just say, we have 5 possessions in the first quarter, two by one team, 3 by the other team. I'd be very surprised if we did not have 4 punts, where each team might get a first down here or there, maybe like 20, 25 yards punt, 20, 25 yards punt. Because they always like, it seems like every Super Bowl the Chiefs have been in, it's gone that way because like they use the first quarter as kind of a feeling out process to see what the defense is throwing at them. Same thing on defense. They play a lot more. They don't play as aggressive in the first quarters. They do later in the game because they're just doing it as like a feeling out process to see what the OC is throwing at them to see what kind of adjustments they want to make. I think you could see a lot from the same thing with Philly, where it's like, well, we're going to just kind of play this way here in the first quarter, see how you attack us, knowing that we have the number one passing defense. Are you going to just try to do a lot of dink and dunk 4 or 5 yard passes to try to move the chains, or are you going to try to stretch the field?
Well, and I kind of believe that they are going to have to, like, the hardest part about this is Kelsey, obviously. Kelsey is going to be the one that's going to be the fight to
Or
be able
or
to
even
kind of.
or Worthy too, because if Worthy can get space,
Yeah,
he's
but Worthy, I think, I think Worthy's going to be with Cooper DeJean. You know what I mean? He's going to be the number 3 guy there.
well. They have actually last week they used him a lot in like jet sweeps. They used him a lot in like motion plays just to get his speed to the outside. I think that knowing that Slay and Mitchell are going to be on the outside, and then DeJean's going to be doing whatever DeJean does, you might see a lot more of the motions for Xavier Worthy to try to get his speed to the outside. And that, I think, kind of might nullify the pass rush a little bit because if he's going in motion, linebackers are going to have to follow him or they're going to have to figure out, like, okay, DeJean, you got to go this way or this person's got to go this way just to make sure he doesn't get to the outside. Because that's essentially how Kansas City stops the pass
Well,
rush is screenplays. Because if the screen plays, they just get Worthy to the outside, a quick one-step drop, get it out to Worthy, even if it's only a 3 yard gain. It's a quick ball out of his hand, and that kind of helps nullify the pass rush, which is what then starts opening up their downfield game.
yeah, but that's where Cooper DeJean comes out really big because every time that
Yeah.
they've done those screen passes, Cooper DeJean knows how to make a tackle. And that's a big deal. I mean,
Yes,
that
and he can hit.
tackle, that tackle on the King is one that has defined everything, for this defense. That he has been able, he laid that smackdown. And I suspect CJ GJ is going to be able to do the same thing. Like they're going to put hits on, on these guys. And it's going, they're going to let them know. He said, I feel like that these guys are hungry.
They are.
really hungry. And that's
Yeah.
the way they played. When they didn't celebrate, like they celebrated a little bit, but they didn't celebrate when they won the NFC. Like it's been very, very
It's been very
measured.
business. It's been very business-like.
And that's what I think. Now, not that Kansas City's done anything either, because
No.
Kansas City's been here before. They know they got their eye on the prize. And listen, it's a big prize. The first team to ever do three in a row. Like it's
It's a
going to
game
be
that's gonna put either one of these teams in NFL immortality. Basically, if you're the Chiefs, you've done something that no team has ever done before. Regardless what happens from here on out, you're going to be known as the only team that ever did a three-peat. It's going to be immortalized. And if you're the Eagles and you end up beating Kansas City, if Kansas City doesn't get back to the Super Bowl after this, or if they don't win like another ring after this, the Eagles will go into the NFL and immortality as basically being the team that potentially ended the dynasty. You're looking at two teams that are basically playing for a spot in NFL immortality.
well, and it's I mean, let's face it, the Eagles have been to three Super Bowls in 7 years.
Yep.
Yeah,
After getting
and
to two in their first 60, 70 years, yeah.
right. And then Kansas City has been to
5 of the last 6
7 consecutive
AFC championship.
championship games. I mean, so there's already been history. You know, uh, how do you think that America is viewing this game? I mean, I've seen a lot of the memes that, nobody wants to watch this Super Bowl, blah blah blah. Let me tell you something. Everybody's going to watch this Super Bowl. It's
Everyone's going to say that every year. Like, even last year, people said, well, the Chiefs are making the Super Bowl. I'm not going to watch the Super Bowl because Taylor Swift. And yet it was, I think, the second most watched Super Bowl all time. Like, everyone's going to say they're not going to watch it. But you know damn well people are going to watch it because every bar in America is going to have it on. Every restaurant that has TVs is going to have it on. Like, people are going to watch it because there's a reason why no NBA games are played after 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Super Bowl Sunday. There's a reason why hockey is not played at all on Super Bowl Sunday. There's a reason why all college basketball games are played at 11 in the morning and are done by 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Super Bowl Sunday. It's because that is the biggest event in sports for outside of, obviously, for football. It's the biggest event for the year, but that is like the biggest event in sports until March Madness. The country shuts down for the Super Bowl, so it doesn't matter. People are going to watch it regardless if people say they're going to or not.
right. And well, whether they watch it for the commercials, whether they watch it
Exactly.
for the game, whether they watch it for the halftime show,
Regardless if
whether
you
they're
have the
just
Super Bowl,
stuck.
regardless if it's on for the full 4 hours or if you have it on for 40 seconds, the moment somebody turns their television on to, like, whether it's for a commercial, like you said, or just they turn it on, the moment that television is turned on, the NFL has a way to figure out that somebody turned on their TV to watch the game. So the moment that someone turns their TV on, whether it's for 40 seconds or 4 hours, that counts as another viewer for that game. So even if you literally turn it on to watch one commercial and then you turn it off, that's still an added viewer to the Super Bowl that was watching the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah, this is. I mean, I fully suspect that this is going to get a. I mean, what do they call it? It's probably like a 54 share in the U.S. That
Something like that, yeah.
54% of the country is going to be watching it. Like, or 54% of televisions are going to be watching, because there's 350 million people in the United States. Can I say all 350 people are going to be watching it? No, because there's a lot of kids that are falling into that. I got to imagine some of the aged maybe watching something else, but everybody's going to be watching it, I kind of feel. And so, do you feel that everybody's going to be rooting for the Eagles?
I think it'll be 60-40. I think 60% of the country is going to be rooting for Philly just because they have the Kansas City Chiefs fatigue by now, where it's just like, okay, well, somebody else from the AFC can at least make the Super Bowl at this point, or if KC makes it, they can lose. But then you're still going to have that 40% that want to see if the Chiefs can make the three-peat and do something that nobody else has ever done, because then you can say you witnessed NFL history.
Right. Well, I think that either way, I mean, you're watching NFL
Yeah.
history in general. It's just the way that it is. Uh, I mean, I feel that, everybody in Dallas wants Kansas City to three-peat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I got to imagine that's a real thing.
And
However,
honestly, I think it could be like 55, 35 because I think you're going to have like that 10 to 15% of the country that really doesn't care who wins or loses. That does because there's people like in Wisconsin, especially because the Eagles knocked off the Packers. People in Wisconsin hate the Chiefs. They hate the Eagles, so they really don't care who wins this game. They're literally just watching it because it's a Super Bowl. So I think you're still going to have like that portion of the country that's like, I don't care who wins. I don't care who loses. I'm just watching the game because that's what I always do.
I know some people will be watching the the dog show. Yeah, they do the best dog of the year or stuff like that happens on the same day as the Super Bowl. They do that purposely for all those people that care more about their dogs than football. So I can imagine that there is going to be. They get usually like a 2 share.
Yeah.
But I know where I'll be. I'll be front and center. And who's the halftime show this year? Do we know?
That's what I'm actually looking forward to the most. So the halftime show is Kendrick Lamar, which he's a rapper.
Okay.
He's a rapper.
Okay.
But he has a song that he specifically wrote about P. Diddy and everything that P. Diddy has done to get when P. Diddy got in trouble with all the stuff that P. Diddy did. And the NFL specifically told him that he's not allowed to sing that song because of the lyrics in it. I'm just waiting to see him sing it because I guarantee you he's going to sing it. He ain't going to care. This is his most popular song.
You know what? I think that, maybe, but they would flag him. They would shut it down. I mean, they shut down Janet Jackson. You imagine, on that whole thing with Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, Janet Jackson got blackballed for a little while.
I know she did. It wasn't even her fault.
It was her fault. Oh my God, it was her fault.
I know.
They absolutely did that on purpose. But look at this! Look at this! We got a late entry.
What's up, guys?
How you guys doing? How you doing, Bo?
Doing good. It's they just cleared the field, so we're getting ready for the second practice to come rolling in. Tomlin's in the house. I got to chat with John Lynch a few minutes ago, so that was cool. So it's been fun so far.
Anything that you saw that was overly exciting about this that first practice?
No, I mean, again, first practice, right? So it was as ugly as you would think a first practice would be, because it's a bunch of guys that haven't played together. So obviously, timing isn't quite right. They have some reps here, right, for false start, stuff like that, and I would imagine it gets better rapidly. But for your first time seeing them, it's kind of what you would expect.
Right. So no miraculous catches and stuff like. Cause that's what I figure. Every once in a while, you're going to see something that's hey, this guy just kind of made this ridiculous looking catch because it's that. You're right. The timing is way off. That these guys haven't played with each other.
No, and so that's where you're actually seeing more of the miraculous drop, where you're like, that thing was money, is right in his hands, and he's like, but it's on the grass.
Yeah, because the way your quarterback throws the ball and the way this quarterback's throwing the ball, probably two different things. So
for sure, especially because you got guys like Dylan Gabriel that's a lefty, right? So if you're used to catching from a righty, it just doesn't quite get delivered quite the same. So again, I imagine that gets worked out pretty quick. But for your first time seeing them, there were a couple of good catches, but there was a lot of feeling people out kind of playing.
What helmet did you see the most of?
So in the first practice, there was quite a few Miami and Oregon. They both have quite a few players here. So the other team should be here, just about getting on the field here in a minute. So we'll see what they have. But out of the first group, it was a lot of that.
Got you. So, and with the Senior Bowl, do they pick sides? Is it like a draft type of situation, or is it, all right, we're going to do the Pac-10 and the Big Ten against the Big 12 and the SEC, and
I'm not actually sure how they split the kids because there are going to be guys from different, like from the same school on opposite sides. So I'm not sure exactly how the placement of the guys on the teams, how that got decided.
okay, so it probably is some type of draft type of situation. They're saying, hey, this is your pool. These are the guys that are going to be playing in this game. We're going to just pick and choose as we go, or maybe they just assign them 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then just split it up evenly like that. Who knows?
That could be.
Yeah, so I got you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to do a little research on that one.
And so, like, what's your schedule like? This obviously they're going to be this practice. Then, do you get a chance to go into? Do they have like a press conference afterwards where you get to talk to some of the players, or is it just practice today, press conferences tomorrow?
Yeah, so you get about a 15-minute or a 10-minute window after practice to go down onto the field, try and grab people where you can. So, like, when I just went down, I chatted with Mike Kafka and John Lynch. But, I mean, 10 minutes goes quick, right? So then after this next one, I'm going to see if I can grab a hold of Milroe before, he gets off the field. And then tomorrow, that's their next press conference. We had a press conference yesterday afternoon as well. So
nice. Well, it's good to see you represented coast to coast down there in beautiful Mobile, Alabama. You know what I mean?
Hey, it is a beautiful day at least.
How warm is it?
It's like 50, 55, which is, that's great for football anyway. But it's sunny. So, like, it's not bad sitting out here, especially since I left Seattle at, 25 degrees. So.
Is there a lot of people down there yet? Like, I know that you're down there fairly early, so I got to imagine that you may be of a smaller group right now till we get Thursday or Friday of this week when everybody else decides to show up.
So it's actually kind of the opposite. A lot of the scouts and other NFL personnel are here now, and then it'll actually get quieter just before game time. So each day there will be less representation. So, which seems a little bit weird, but I think it just gives them an opportunity to talk to the kids, stuff like that.
Gotcha. So are you seeing a lot of, I mean, I guess there's certain general managers that are here. Like you said, John Lynch is down there.
Yep.
Maybe some offensive coordinators. You didn't see Ben Roethlisberger, who is now the new offensive coordinator of Pittsburgh.
No, actually, I was gonna mention that Ben Roethlisberger actually came out today and said he has not accepted the position.
Oh, got
okay.
it.
The Steelers.
Well, in either case, he's not here.
Yeah, the Steelers approached him about it yesterday, asking if he would want to take over the OC duty. He said yes, he would, but then he came back and said, "I'm not ready to get into coaching yet, but I do want to be involved with the Steelers' offense in some aspect next year." So what that means, he's like a senior, not a senior, but like an offensive assistant. Like a lot of the young assistants start off doing that. He works his way up, but he will be part of the staff next year at some point.
I don't hate that.
Could be a quarterback coach, because if Russell Wilson
exactly
around and then you go commit to Justin Fields another year, why not have Roethlisberger be the quarterback coach and work with Fields a little bit?
No, I could see that. Yeah,
I agree with that. So, well, that's cool. At least you're, like I said, you're out there, you're working it, and we appreciate you doing it for Coast to Coast and for Pro Football Talk and all that stuff. I know you guys, you're pretty busy and doing all your stuff. What's been the best food so far?
Oh, man, I've been running around so much, I can't even say that I've had anything great yet. Like, it's been eat food on the run. Probably Roma Cafe was the best thing I've eaten here. Like last night, I couldn't get my video to upload, and so I ended up ordering a pizza. And like a true beat writer, I was eating cold pizza trying to finish a video this morning. So yeah, I can't say that I'm eating well.
All right. Well, hey, at least you're eating some. So,
Yes.
well, we appreciate you jumping on here. We're going to let you go because we know that these other guys are going to come on. You're going to have to get cut off here, anyways. But
Yep.
definitely check in with us tomorrow if you can. If not, we'll hold down the fort for you here.
Perfect. Yeah, it'll probably be about the same timing.
Perfect. Look
We'll
forward to
be
it.
here.
Awesome. That's
All
right.
right, both.
Right on.
Thanks for
Take it
sticking
easy,
in.
guys.
All right, have a good one. And there we go. And just a quick shout out from Bo. I appreciate him coming on. Like I says, they don't allow anybody to do any broadcasting during practice. So it's because this game is very strongly bet on. So you don't want to be able to say, hey, you don't want to get any early advantages in the Senior Bowl. But that brings us to the top of the hour. So everybody, thank you very much for hanging with us today. We'll be back tomorrow. Even though he's got baseball 2025 is officially on, we are still talking football nonstop. May even try to get a Chiefs guy on tomorrow. It might be fun to try to get what somebody thinks, on the opposite side of things, since I have a pretty strong idea of the Eagles side. Maybe get somebody on the Kansas City side who can give us what they think is going on. So, but in the meantime, we appreciate you hanging with us. And stay tuned for everything happening on our Roku channel. And we'll be back tomorrow, guys. Have a good one.
Take care, guys.
And